I have Maria Hernandez and then Stacy Strong.
Write her name down.
Oh, no, wait.
The woman name.
No, actually.
Write her name down for me. The woman that just voted.
I think it's Catherine.
Stacy Strong, we don't have to do. Maria Hernandez
First name.
and then Elio Varala.
1380 University.
Maria Hernandez? Elio Varala? Elio?
No, no creo.
Sí, está bien.
Yeah. She's from 13. We have her contact.
Muy buenas noches, mi nombre es Elio Varela. No pretendía hablar en esta noche, pero como veo que es una causa justa y noble, creo que es el deber de todo hombre que haya estudiado un poco corresponderse con una situación como esta. Pero más que un deber.
Good evening, my name is Elio Varela, and it was not my plan to speak this evening, but I believe that it is the duty of every man who has some education to align himself or be in solidarity with a just cause.
Pero más que una causa justa, es una causa social en la cual ustedes tienen la responsabilidad por la posición política y social que ocupan de buscar una solución a esta problemática. Todo lo que hemos estudiado a nivel de colegio sabemos que el mundo está en una convulsión fruto de dos factores fundamentales: la desmoralización social y la ambición desmedida que tienen algunos hombres en contra de los más necesitados.
But it's not only a just cause, it's also a social cause and a responsibility that you all have in the social and political position that you all have to find the solutions to this problem. Anybody who has studied at the school level understands that the world is convulsing right now due to a mixture of factors. One of them is the demoralization of humanity, and the other is the greed of certain individuals at the expense of the poor.
Me correspondo totalmente con todas las opiniones que se han dado aquí en esta noche, y físicamente véanme que estoy lesionado en la cintura, en mi rodilla, mi tobillo. Me rompí este hombro aquí, tengo un video aquí que si la mesa directiva quisiera apreciarlo, fruto de que mi landlord no arregló a tiempo y me caí casi 22 pies del baño de mi casa y fui a parar al hoyo de la boila. Los bomberos dijeron que estoy vivo para algo. Y en esta noche quiero dar los testimonios divinos de Dios, porque mi Santa Madre me dejó este rosario cuando murió y me dijo que lo hiciera. Y cuando iba cayendo de espalda, Dios me habló y me dijo: Elio, abre los brazos.
So today, I am in solidarity and I correspond with everything, all the opinions that have been shared tonight. If you can see me, I am physically injured. My hips, my knees, and my shoulder have all been fractured, and I hurt myself because, as a result of my landlord's failure to make a repair in my apartment. I fell almost 22 feet from my bathroom and ended up landing in the hole in the boiler room. The firefighter said that I'm alive for a reason, and I'm here tonight to give you God's divine testimony that I was given this rosary by my mother, and she told me to do it, to do the rosary. And when I was falling, I heard God's voice, and he said, open your arms.
And this is true. Y esto es verdad. Cuando abrí los brazos, de inmediato encontré un tubo grueso y lo agarré. Y mi cuerpo, que iba de espalda, se volteó de lado. Y por eso cuando caí, me fracturé aquí y aquí. Pero lo más doloroso es que después de haber vivido ahí con mi Santa Madre, 29 años de 30 que tengo aquí en los Estados Unidos, me echaron del apartamento y perdí todas mis cosas. Y si bien es cierto que no estaba en el LI, la familiaridad o la relación con mi madre y mi hermana que estaban en el LI, porque yo puse los 3 depósitos del apartamento. Y como 10 o 12 años atrás llegó una hermana mía y tuvo problemas con su esposo y el esposo murió. Y yo estaba trabajando equitativamente y le renté un apartamento a ella en el mismo building.
Gracias.
Y por eso perdí el apartamento de abajo.
Gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
And this is true. When I opened my arms, I grabbed onto a thick tube, and that was the only reason that that my body, which was falling backwards, turned to the side, and that's why I fractured my hip and my shoulder. But the most painful part was that after living there with my mother for 29 years out of the 30 years that I have been in the US, I was kicked out of my apartment and I lost all of my things. And it's true that I wasn't on the lease, but my mother and my sister were on the lease, and the familiarity with the space and the fact that I was a person that put down the 3 deposits was important. And 12 years ago, one of my sisters came with her husband, and then they had some problems, and and he passed away, and so I helped her to find an apartment, and and they put that apartment that I helped her find, they put that apartment to my name, and that's why they didn't put my name in the other apartment. That's why I ended up losing that apartment.
Gracias. I have. So our next 2 speakers are Lourdes de la Cruz and Maria Diallo, and at 9 o'clock we're going to take a brief break. But Lourdes de la Cruz.
Sí se puede. Muy buenas noches, mi nombre es Lourdes de la Cruz, vivo en el 1505 de Townsend Avenue por 12 años.
Good evening, my name is Lourdes de la Cruz and I live at 1505 Townsend Avenue for 15 years. 12 years.
Cuando pensé cuál era el testimonio que yo iba a dar, me puse a reflexionar y dije, déjame ver si soy una líder histérica, paranoica, tengo una inyección en contra de los caseros, y me puse a investigar y comencé a preguntarle a mis vecinos.
When I was thinking about what testimony I was going to give here tonight, I was saying to myself, let me see, am I a hysterical, paranoid leader who just has it up against the landlords? And I started asking my tenants and neighbors.
Porque no quería repetir, entonces comencé a preguntarle a mis vecinos, a los que viven en el mismo edificio mío, a los vecinos de afuera, en la bodega, a mis hermanos de la iglesia, también, hasta en la guagua pregunté.
Because I didn't want to repeat myself, so I started asking my neighbors, folks at the bodega, people outside on the street, people in church, I even asked on the bus.
Porque quería ver si había algo diferente, si algo había cambiado con relación a nosotros los caseros. Y a sorpresa, peor. Estoy representando aquí a todas esas personas a las cuales yo le pregunté, y lo que me decían era que no ganaban para pagar un aumento de renta. Me decían también que estaban pagando aproximadamente $2,000 en un apartamento de una sola habitación, 2 adultos, 2 niños.
To see what was different, to see if anything was different about us as tenants. And what a surprise. People were actually worse off. People are saying they don't have money to pay, they can't afford rent increases. I heard from people that they were paying up to $2,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment with 2 adults and 2 children.
Y créanme que siento tener que dar mi testimonio en este momento, que ustedes están cansados, se están pidiendo un receso, pero lastimosamente hay que repetir porque esa es la única realidad que hay. Esto es lo que hay.
And believe me that standing here and giving you my testimony when I know that you are all tired and asking for a break, but this is unfortunately what we have to do. We have to repeat because this is the same reality over and over. This is what it is.
Continuamos con que no se hacen reparaciones y si se hacen son de mala calidad. Continuamos diciendo que ratones y cucarachas. Y una vecina mía me dijo que fueron a inspeccionar su apartamento y las personas que fueron a inspeccionar la ayudaron a matar los ratones que habían.
We continue to say that there are no repairs, and if there are repairs, they are bad quality. We continue to say that we are living in bad conditions with mice and cockroaches. A neighbor or somebody I know told me that inspectors came to check on her apartment, and the inspectors themselves were helping her to kill the mice that were there.
Dos cosas más. Hubo una mamá que me dijo que el propósito es subir y subir para que nosotros los pobres tengamos que irnos y los blancos y ricos vengan aquí, simplemente.
2 more things. A mother told me that the only purpose is for rent to go up and go up so that the poor people can leave, so that the only people left here are white and rich.
Y con relación a mí, también es lo mismo. No baje la cabeza, paisano, que eso es para ustedes. Con relación a mí, en mi apartamento, en mi edificio, lo mismo. Una sola cosa quiero más. Quiero decirles, yo tengo una niña que está en high school. Y mi niña, un día me dijo, me mandaron a hacer una tarea. Es con usted, Tejeda, paisano, es con usted también. Yo estoy hablando y merezco que usted me ponga atención. No que hable con la de al lado. Mi niña está en high school y un día me dijo, tengo que hacer una tarea y tengo que poner algo difícil que me haya pasado en la vida. Y yo dije, piensa. Yo quiero que tú pienses y me digas qué fue.
Gracias.
And in relation to my situation, it's the same. It's the same. And don't look down. This is for you too. Don't look away from us. I want to tell you one last thing. I have a daughter who's in high school, and she told me one time that she had to do some homework, and that for her homework she had to put down or write down something that she experienced that was really difficult. Oh, and I told her, think about it really hard. What have you been through?
Our next speakers are Maria Diallo and Mariama Kamara.
No, que yo no he terminado. Ya estoy terminando. No, yo creo que no necesita traducción eso. Yo creo que le entiende. Lo que mi niña me dijo de 15 años fue que lo que más grave le ha pasado, lo más terrible es que un día la temperatura estaba afuera 0 bajo 5 grados, o sea, nos estábamos congelando y todos tuvimos que dormir en una misma habitación con 2 calentadores y como quiera nos estábamos frizando. Esa es la experiencia que le va a quedar a mi niña en su mente, aún nosotros pagando $1,450.
Gracias.
And so I'm about to finish. This is what my daughter said. She's 15 years old. She said that the hardest thing, the most terrible thing that's happened to her was that it was -5 degrees outside and we were freezing. We were sleeping, all of us in the same room with 2 small heaters, and we were still freezing cold. And this is the experience that my daughter's going to have in her memory, even though I pay $1,450 a month.
¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Y sí se puede!
Maria Diallo and Mariama Kamara on deck. Good evening.
Just look at them. No, I can look at them. Good evening. Thank you for you guys coming here tonight. And I'm here tonight because I'm seeking for repair for a year. My apartment has been very, very bad situation. And I have on my bathroom, I have a big hole on my bathroom, the bug and the cockroach. And I can't even take a bath on my own bathroom. I have to go to the neighbor to take a bath. I have a 6-year girl with me. I called 311, HPD came 3 times on my apartment. They realized that need immediate emergency repair. I have a mold. Sorry, my English. I had a mold on my bathroom since the last year. I'm still living on the same situation, same issue. Now my question to you guys, how you guys feel when you cannot even take a bath on your own apartment? You have to go to the neighbor to take a bath or to go out or to go to work. So how you guys feel about that? And the second thing is, I'm gonna ask you, please, when you make a decision, try to think about all people on this audience here who gave them testimony. Think about they should be your friend, daughter, cousin, and granddaughter. So think about us, and please help us to do the right thing for tenant. Thank you, and thank you for coming too.
Thank you. So I'll do Maria. Yeah. Mariama Kamara.
Do you want to say your name and then just say that I'll speak for you? Say your name.
I don't think she's going to testify. Someone's going to read the testimony for her.
My name is Mariama Kamara.
Oh, she will.
Okay. Her name is Mariama Kamara. I am a member with CASA, and I have lived in 1060 Sheridan Avenue for 10 years. My landlord is Ezra Bennett. I live in a building under 1048-1064 LLC. My landlord doesn't deserve a rent increase because my kitchen floor is broken. There is a huge hole, and my kitchen cabinet is falling apart. My kids are suffering because of these conditions, physically and mentally. We are living without heat and hot water for months, and there is no report from HPD visiting or caring about us. We have waited over 40 minutes for an interpreter to report our issues by calling 311. There are mouses, roaches, and centipedes in our apartment. No one is listening while we live in these conditions. Many of us are forced to move out and take time off work for repairs that don't happen. I have called my management and super, and nothing has happened. They immediately take us to court and force us out, while many of us are living in poverty and filth. Paying rent for what? We deserve way more than a rent freeze.
Thank you. All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break and then we'll reconvene. All of them?
So that means you don't have to leave. We're going to take a 10-minute recess and come back to listen to your testimony.
All right, why don't I read out the names of the speakers just so people know where they are in the order? Martima Rivera will be next at the end of the break. Emanuel Youssef, Mihaly Sousa, Mayra Leta, Sharon Hightower, Ana Marmolesos, George Sotorov, Dynasty David, April Parker, Robert Gomes, Steve Furman, Bianca or Blanca Jones, Justina Marte, Dr. Jim Fairbanks, Kara Lynch, Laura Govan, Anna Vasquez, and Linda Seward. And those are the remaining speakers for the evening.
Él mencionó que van a tomar un receso de 10 minutos, no significa que se tienen que ir, vamos a quedarnos a oír su testimonio, y él estaba leyendo los nombres de las personas que van a testificar en el orden, así ustedes se pueden quedar porque vamos a oír su testimonio.
Okay. We'll see you in 10 minutes. So we're going to start up. Okay, so Okay, let's start up. So let me just read the next few names. Martima Rivera, Emanuel Youssef, Mihaly Sousa, Mayra Leta. Is Martima here? Okay. Emanuel is here? Okay. Who did? Linda Seward. Linda Seward left. Okay. She left.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Emanuel Youssef. I live in 1111 Girard Avenue in the Bronx here. I've been living in this address for the past 23 years. It is important to know that a lot of you have not seen the pictures of all these things that we're talking about. In my building that I lived for the past 23 years, most of the things that is happening now is still happening and have been happening, and the landlord did not do anything. We are losing grants and everything. The buildings have been deteriorating. So, if there is any way to spot check, if anybody can just say, I'm going to see what is happening in your building, you'll be so surprised. Because all of you, you look decent, you look very, very clean, and I know you are very, very intelligent. I know what it takes before you get this appointment. And I beg you to please see to what we have been talking about, what people have been saying to you, all this time that you've been patiently sitting down there. It is very important to actually look at it so that you can be able to think before you make decisions. The decision that you make tonight is going to affect millions of people. And you see what is going on. Everything that is like they want the people to leave Bronx so that only the rich people can be here. And that's not right. That's not possible.
Thank you.
Because we are not going to do this. I need a few more moments to tell you something. I'm going to suggest to you, because I know it's possible, to have some kind of a high-tech screen so we can show you some pictures. I can show you pictures of my own apartment that has not been painted for the past 15 years. And
Thank you.
The carpet that was in there is still there. It's costing me money to keep it clean. So therefore, when we talk about all these malls and everything that make people sick, you're supposed to see it so that you know exactly what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Another point, we have a garbage chute from the main floor to the basement. If you can see from the basement up to the 6th floor, it smells terribly because the chute never get closed.
Thank you.
Our landlord has taken our parking lots, our community room, and then the parking lot have been sold to another organization so that the Yankee customers can park over there. Kids
thank you.
are not, sir, please, the kids are playing on a concrete floor because they wipe it with a cement so that the cars can park. The tenants, they are paying $120 for parking in the building that we're supposed to be parking free. So therefore, please, I beg of you to actually see that you implement consciously the truth. Do not be afraid of the politicians.
Thank
Do
you.
not be afraid to take money from Albany. And we are watching. Anybody that is not with us is against us.
Thank you.
And we don't want to leave Bronx for anybody else.
Thank you.
You can see again From the basement, if you go to our laundry room, you can hear the mice, roaches, and everything falling down. It is true. I can show you the pictures. If you promise you want to see it, I can bring it to you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So certainly people can submit written or picture testimony. That's certainly fine. So let me just say that we have like an hour left here and we have a lot more speakers. So if people go over the 2 minutes, it's going to mean that other people won't be able to speak. And so when I'm asking you to respect the 2 minutes, it's really to make sure that everyone in the room who's been waiting here for hours gets the opportunity that everyone who preceded them had as well.
Thank you, sir. But you say the time that I get the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
No rent.
Can I say
increase.
something about your building, Emmanuel, if you allow me?
Yes.
Emmanuel's building is a 421A building that we had to sue in Supreme Court because a landlord deregulated 100 units.
Yes.
With 10 units in the basement that were illegal for over 20 years. Those tenants sued in Supreme Court. HP held press conferences to make sure that their apartments stayed regulated. And this is a unique building because we often see this data through DACR and other data we look at, but this building is one of the buildings that when I say 421A doesn't always work, and there are a lot of loopholes and things landlords do. This is a prime example. They're just now settling an 8-year Supreme Court case right now. Where every unit in the building will be permanently rent stabilized for the longevity of all of the family members in the current building, where they are actually settling because they were overpaying. Some people overpaid by $30,000, $40,000 over the last 24 years and are going to be reimbursed that money because of the work that those tenants did. So when we think about the time that we are taking, and it's true, it's a lot of our time, it's a lot of your time, thank you for staying. We are actually holding up all of those tenants who have been in this fight for decades and who are struggling right now. So I would like for us to stick to the 2 minutes, but I also understand that these stories are so complex and you have decades of fighting, and so I appreciate it, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mihaly Sousa?
I'm going to read Mihaly's testimony because she had to leave. I'm sorry about that. So hello, my name is Mihaly Sousa. I live in 111 East 167th Street in the Bronx. My landlord is making the building more expensive. He's been preparing himself because of the new rezoning. So all of his renovations he has charged to the tenants. He has charged us with 3 rent increases by MCI, and we're going into a 4th, which he is trying to get $90 a room increase for each apartment. Please stop all this MCI increase. This is my building. My landlord has 75 buildings, and I cannot afford another increase. Thank you, have a good night, and I want to say that we demand a rent freeze.
Thank you. I have Myra Leta, and then I have Sharon Hightower. Myra Leta? No? I have Sharon Hightower, and then I have Ana Marmolesos.
Yes, Sharon! She's been here forever.
I can never say all this in 2 minutes, but I'll do the best I can. So my name is Sharon Hightower. I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I also work for the city of New York. And also, I'm sure there's been a lot of veterans in here as well throughout the night. And yeah, hoorah. And I work for the city of New York also. So that's why the landlords can't put a lot over on me, because I'm a blue-collar worker. So when they come in there with PVC pipes and try to put it against some metal pipes, or they don't want to do the job right, I call them out on it and let them know, you can't fool me. I know what you're doing and it's not right, okay? I also work for the federal government in other ways, capacities. So there's a lot of things they can't get away with me, but I'm gonna be as quick as I can here. All right, we haven't seen an exterminator in months. They only come once a month, and they haven't been coming, and when they would come on a weekday. So most people are not gonna be home. The common areas of the building, filthy, okay? when you come to my house at 1901 Lauren Place, all right, the landlords are Lauren Place Realty LLC. Let me rephrase that. The slumlords are Lauren Place Realty LLC. All right, so the building stinks when you come to my house. The hallway stinks, various reasons, floor's not mopped, incinerator, which is a trash chute really. Thing is dirty, they used to keep it clean, but when we got these new landlords about 8 years ago, all that has stopped and they did not continue. They didn't change anything to make it better. We have mold, we have recurring leaks. Right now, as I speak, there's a hole in my ceiling. I had to create a funnel with plastic to keep anything from coming down on me, okay? Which is called construction harassment. They're constantly constructing and doing things and not fixing things right.
Thank you.
No, I'm not done, all right? Because like I said, I'm gonna be as fast as I can. Just be patient, all right? So they got construction harassment going on. They fix something and then it fails. So I was here on this podium in 2017 and I got some people to help me out, Urban Justice Center. But still, 3 months later, the hole started coming back again. So I can't have them coming every 3 months saying they're gonna fix something and they're not gonna fix it right. I am in fear of my building collapsing because we have water coming everywhere. Because they are Jewish, they will not repair on the holiday, on their holidays. And they told me that they was not coming, and yet they still threatened to come in no matter what, saying things to me that's inappropriate. Well, we can come in at any time we want, okay? How do you tell a woman who's been in the military, had to suffer with MST, and you're gonna tell me you can come in my apartment at any time, and then when I tell you I don't wanna do this dance with you every 3 months, you're gonna tell me, because I said I would like to take a vacation just like anybody else, you tell me where? In Alabama? Okay, my landlords, as far as I'm concerned, are racist terrorists, okay? And furthermore, I am tired of having to be bothered with not just the shoddy work, but they brought me in a stove that was approved by the state that was dangerous. They gave me 2 stoves that do not work properly. One of them was snapping shut like a bear trap. How can you open up an oven and then the door flips right back up to catch you and burn you? So now they give me another oven that has a California 65 warning on it, which says this equipment has chemicals known to cause cancer and birth defects. So now I can't have my children and my family come over. The toddler can't come over for more reasons than that, because it has no broiler inside the oven, and it's also radiant heat, and gas is included for cooking. So how can I cook without a broiler, without gas, and then the opening at the bottom, because there's no tray in there, a child could crawl in there and get cooked to death, okay? So this is why we don't need to have no more rent increases, because there's people out here that got dangerous appliances. Right now, I have a ladder that's in between my refrigerator and the cabinet to try to hold the refrigerator door closed, because that's gapping open as well. Okay? So you need to start giving people 5 minutes, because this is ridiculous.
Thank you. Again, I'm just trying to make sure that there's time for everyone to speak before Hostos closes us down. I have Anna Marmolesos, and then I have George Sodorov, and then I have Dynasty David. Anna Marmolesos. George Sodorov.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Rent Guidelines Board. The name is George Satiroff. I live at 901 Walton Avenue, and I've been there first renting a room in 1981 and then getting the lease when the former renters passed on. I believe in profits. I think they're good. And I have to tell you that an investment in the real estate market in New York that returns 40%, that's fabulous. I see Chase is only offering 2%, but 40%, that's great. So profits is good, all right? The problem we run into is when it slips over into greed. Because greed is one of those deadly sins, 7 deadly sins, and it's going to come back and destroy all of us. And for those who participate in disrupting everything, and the whole edifice is crumbling down on all of us, it's not so good. So you're going to say to me, well, you don't know where that line is between profit and greed? And I'm going to say, you're right, I don't. But I do know this. When a landlord finagles and contrives and succeeds in driving up the rents, and he deprives another man of food and shelter, he has crossed that line. And we know that business really is not terribly good at policing itself and regulating itself, and that's why we have to have a Rent Guidelines Board. We have to have a Glass-Steagall Act that was enacted after the great crash of '29, because left to its own devices, business will just end up devouring itself, and we have to save business and save ourselves. So I'm just mentioning that if you allow the rents to go up, what you're doing is you're going to enrich the powerful by impoverishing the vulnerable.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. I have Dynasty David, and then I have April Parker.
Hello, my name is Dynasty David. I'm a member with Mothers on the Move. I live in the South Bronx for 30 plus years. I don't look like it, but whatever. Okay, so my landlord is NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority. I really love how NYCHA is so quick to want to raise the rent, but are so slow to respond to the repairs that need to be done. In the wintertime, it's hard. I'm disabled, and I don't like how I have to use a combination of turning on my sink and the tub to try to get a little bit of hot water. And my toilet is always overflowing, and I would tell NYCHA, can I get a new one? However, they just look at me like, let it overflow another time, so then that way we consider fixing it. Like, my mom is from a third world country, and she came over here to feel better. However, now that she's gone, God rest her soul, I still feel like I live in a third world country by heating up my water every time I need to take a shower, or when I wanna, excuse me, or when I wanna use my stove, I can't, because I got Mickey and Minnie who don't pay rent all in my house, and I just feel like that's very unfair. And I'm gonna wrap it up. I just wish that you guys would vote with us and keep the rent not going up, because at the end of the day, we need to be united and not feel like we're getting gypped because these people want to raise the rent. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's important. I'm sorry. I just want to say that you should understand that this board has no control over NYCHA, because NYCHA is not a rent-stabilized property. It's a governmental deal with the city and the federal government. So there's nothing we could do for NYCHA. Excuse me? No, I think it's important to know. How many private landlords are what?
I would just, that's why I was.
I have, our next speakers are April Parker and Robert Gumbas. April? Okay. we're ready for you. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
Thank you. I'd like to start by saying what the Constitution talks about. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women, I added that part, are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everyone who spoke here, their basic pursuit of happiness is to have a home that they can afford. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. Everyone who spoke here today, we are the governed, and we give you consent to represent us on our behalf. As I continue, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new governments. I say this to everyone here, that if these people on this lovely committee do not assist us, we have the right to abolish them, to get rid of them. And the mayor needs to get a new job. And it ain't president. I, with that last note, ask you that there's people here on your panel who come from other countries. They understand the struggle of not being heard. Like the gentleman who felt that he was, not represented over on the board of, he's struggling as well. And I respect that. I just ask, I see the floor now. I just ask that you remember that we are here because of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Robert Gomes, and then I have Steve Furman.
Gomes.
Gomes.
Yeah, hey, first of all, my last name is Gomes.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay? I don't think that should be too difficult. Second of all, I really think that you folks sitting up there, you need to go downtown, maybe go have a drink, whatever, because I'm wondering how much do you guys make to basically come by here and waste our time. The reason I say this is because you're sitting here, and I'm not trying to personally insult you, but I really wonder how it is that you guys are able to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror. Now, obviously, this is a phony setup, okay? Because if it wasn't, then there would have been some progress in this city in terms of people who have to rent a long time ago. So it's obvious that you people are basically here to placate the savages, all right? I also feel that what the sister who spoke before me just said in terms of the mayor, that terrible waste of time as far as I'm concerned. He does need to stay his butt here in New York and stop worrying about a job that he will never, ever get. And if you have any respect for the people in these communities where you guys go around and sit, you would never insult them by this phony BS about a 2-minute talk time. That's asinine. Now I see we had from the city council, lady, what's her name, Gibson, okay? The only reason that happened is because people are getting angry, all right? Politicians get scared when they think that they can't bullshit their constituents any longer. So that's why she was here wasting everyone's time.
Thank you.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, what you need to do, if you're going to have something like this, you need to have landlords here also, because they have their side. I don't buy into it, but let them speak for themselves and explain why they treat people like garbage in these apartments. And also, you need to ask them, why is it that they cry and cry because they don't think that they're squeezing enough money out of poor people, but I noticed their associations have enough money to make these stupid-ass commercials, okay? Listen.
Thank you.
I was in the Navy, all right? If I didn't like the Navy and I felt that being at sea was too much of a bother, I should have joined the Army. They have so much problems being a landlord, let them go work in McDonald's.
Thank you.
Like a lot of their tenants do.
Thank you.
This is an insult, and that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. I have Steve Furman, and then I have either Blanca Jones or Bianca Jones. She left? Okay. So then I have Steve Furman, and then I have Justina Marte. Justina left?
Justina left.
Okay.
Hi.
Then I have, after Steve, I have Dr. Jim Fairbanks after
He's
Steve
here.
Furman. She left?
He's here.
Oh, he's here, okay. Steve, thank you for your patience.
Hi, my name is Steve Furman. I live in 1485 McCombs Road. I've lived there for 17 years. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to testify. My worries are that with the rent raising each year and my parents barely making enough money to pay it, as the landlords get richer and my parents get poorer, that I won't be able to go to a good college and that my future could be ruined. Just so my parents could pay the rent, I hope that you guys find it in your hearts to help us with the situation we are facing. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Dr. Jim Fairbanks, and then I have Kara Lynch.
Dr. Fairbanks?
Okay. You can leave it at the front desk board. Oh, it's closed. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Leah. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Dr. Jim Fairbanks.
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jim, lived here 50 years in the South Bronx, raised my 4 sons. My speech is on trust. My desire is for trust in the working together of landlords and tenant associations so that our buildings and our South Bronx community can survive and thrive. Yet, looking historically, trust requires justice of an apology and restitution from the real estate industry. After 50 years, I still have not received an apology from the millionaire landlords for milking and burning down 10,000 buildings in the South Bronx for arson profit, and for making 500,000 residents flee for their lives in one of the greatest crimes and migrations of the 20th century. Rent increases, but trust requires apology, restitution, repairs, rent rollback, more rollback, and a lot more rollback. I would prefer that this not be a hearing on rent increases, but rather a hearing of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I would gladly forgive and restore trust if the landlords would come and repent. So a predatory landlord, Moshe Stahl, bought my building, 1220 Shakespeare Avenue, a year ago, and in less than a year, 25% of the tenants have fled the building because the landlord is ending the preferential rent of all tenants. Talk about a rent increase of hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And the Rent Guidelines Board is considering increases? Really? If things weren't bad enough, here comes the mayor's unaffordable rezoning gentrification plan to destroy the diverse cultures of the South Bronx community and drive out the people of low and moderate income. And landlords want rent increases? So after the destruction and abandonment of the South Bronx by the real estate industry, we rebuilt the South Bronx by sweat equity, low-income co-ops, nonprofit community housing developers, and years of demanding that government and the private sector rebuild.
Thank you.
And the real estate industry made their billions in rebuilding during that time. They made their billions. So we're going to gentrify and drive out the people again? Well, thanks to the unprecedented organizing of CASA and dozens of such groups across the city, we are trying to hold off another eve of destruction.
Thank you.
How long will the notion continue that the residents of the Bronx, that we do not know what is best for the well-being of our community, but only the people of power, wealth, and control know what's best?
Thank you.
So my desire as a tenant leader is the restoring of trust between landlords and tenant associations so that our buildings and our community can survive and even thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Cara Lynch and Laura Govan.
Rent freeze. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Cara Lynch. I live at 95 West 162nd Street in the Bronx, in Highbridge. So I'm a CASA member and I'm new to the neighborhood compared to many of my neighbors, vecinos, who I'm really honored have welcomed me to the borough. I moved here in 2016, and my current situation is that I have a preferential lease. The legal rent is well over the actual limit for rent-stabilized apartment, which I'm in, because of the tax rebates that my landlord has. You might ask, why would I sign such a lease? And I'll tell you. So after 6 years of going to housing court back and forth with my landlord in Brooklyn, and a hole in my ceiling, and 3 false holdover notices and 2 evictions, I realized that it was time to leave Brooklyn and find another home. And I decided on the Bronx. And when I asked for a copy of the lease about a week before signing it with my current landlord, I realized that it was a preferential lease, but that had not been made clear at all when I was looking. And then I asked around, and pretty much every apartment that I had looked at, though there had been one rent posted, actually all of those leases were preferential. There were no other choices. And then this year, our building got hit with an MCI, which means pretty much all of us have 4% increase to our rent. That's, as you know, permanent. I just want to say that housing is a right. It's a human right. And until our system changes, it's up to you all to protect the rights of the tenants by doing your job and really paying attention to what we have to say to you. So please, please freeze the rent.
Thank you. I have Laura Govan and then Ana Vasquez. Laura Govan.
Hi, my name is Laura Gomes. I'm a member with CASA. I must repeat that, I lived at 1504 Sheridan Avenue for 33 years. Unfortunately, I was illegally evicted from my home. My landlord was 1504 Sheridan, LLC, care of Chestnut Holding Company. I'm just going to be brief. What I believe a rent guideline board decision like for a tenant in the Bronx. What are the effects of the increase in rent? It means perhaps a reduction in money set aside for food, car fare, to and for work, or perhaps to take your family out to Giovanni's, Popeyes, Sam's Soul Food Restaurant once a month to eat out together. What it means for the landlord, perhaps increase in wealth and income, and perhaps luxurious vacation and opportunities to sell the apartment buildings after obtaining the increase in the rental income through the increases that may come about through the Rent Guideline Board. And that's about all.
Thank you. Ana Vasquez? Ana Vasquez is gone. I believe that brings us to the end of our list of speakers. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion adjourned.
Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, the meeting is adjourned. We shall reconvene on Thursday in Brooklyn for a similar hearing. Good night, everyone.